समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay, now today we are doing question answers. So I have received a few, maybe just about 10 or 11 questions. So we'll tackle them one by one. Okay, now the first question is, what happens to the soul on achieving moksha? Okay, now this is a question, what happens to the soul on achieving moksha? See, the answer could be like this, that what happens to the dreamer when he achieves the waker? The dreamer never was. You see, the level is different. Moksha means you are one with the Supreme. You are one with reality, which you already are, by the way. You feel that you are not. Okay? So when that feeling goes, that is moksha. When you realize the truth, like when a dreamer wakes up, he understands that he was not the dreamer, that was an illusion, and that he is the waker. Okay, now so then the dreamer was never there, and moksha is man awakened to the glory of God, awakened to his godhood. Okay, that is the answer to this. Number 2, this is the unreal has no being, and there is no non-being of the real. Explain it, please, she said. This is the verse 16 of chapter 2. And it says, nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Now, this thing actually is that only, that it means that the unreal, see, the world is not unreal. Understand it this way. The world is not unreal, but in terms of the permanent reality, it is unreal. Just like, I'll again give you the dream example. It's a wonderful example, this dream thing. The dream is real so long as you are in the dream, right? Similarly, the world is real so long as you think that there is a world and there is you. It is real. So, if in the dream, the example I gave is, if in the dream a tiger is chasing you, you have to run in the dream. Otherwise, in the dream, the tiger will eat you up. So, the tiger is not actually eating the person who's sleeping, right? He is not eating the person who's sleeping, but the dreamer is eaten up, right? Same way, the world is real to the worldly, like you and me. But if, with reference to the permanent truth, the world is unreal. So that is that. Okay. And now the third question, let us come to. These don't require long answers. The death of the people because of pandemic, COVID, is pre-written or premature? If premature, then where do the souls travel? Okay. See, no death is premature. No death is premature. It is, देखो एक चीज समझ लो, that the body takes on a form, the body you get for a certain period of time to exhaust your own desires. Okay, the day, the minute the desire is exhausted, the body will fall. When your shopping list is over, you return back home or not? Or you continue going from shop to shop still? Your shopping list is all ticked for which you came to that particular market. The next shopping list, you have to go to another market, right? So you will leave that market and go to another market. So whether in COVID or pandemic or whatever is the cause of death, it may not be pandemic. It could be TB, it could be cancer, it could be an accident, it could be natural death, it could be anything at all. So death will come, COVID or no COVID. It is going to come at a certain given time. And I have told you that what is the time death chooses? Death chooses the time when your desires for which this particular body was made are exhausted. And for you, but your desires are totally not exhausted. There is a bank load of desires left. So for those, you have to take on another form, a different kind of mind, intellect, and body equipment. So when you have to take on that kind of equipment, you need another body. So you have to drop this body. You can't have two bodies, right? So there is no death which is premature. We call it premature because we say if an 18-year-old boy dies, we call it premature because in our mind the boy should have lived to 90. That is why we have termed this premature. But in nature there is no such thing as premature. When the time comes, it will be destroyed. Nature changes. That is the law of matter. It will change. The next question is, please throw some light on Swamiji's discourses on the Mandukya Upanishad. Now, this question I am not going to comment on because for the simple reason that it is Swamiji you have to ask. Okay, whichever Swamiji you mean who was taking Mandukya, you have to put your question to him. So, on his behalf, I cannot be answering your question on Mandukya. Secondly, I have to tell all the listeners that when you put your questions, please put questions only on the chapter that has been done. So they should be relevant or relevant to that chapter somehow, but not just from anywhere at all, because most of the listeners are. Ab now see a question on Mandukya. You may have heard it, but there might be lots of people who have not heard it, right? So for them, this question and answer session will not. And in any case, I will not comment on Swamiji's narration of Mandukya. The next question, kindly elaborate on Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, and Adidevika. Okay. So, let's do it one by one. Adibhautika. Okay. Now, Bhautik, you must have heard of Bhautik Shastra. ठीक है ना? And bhautik means of the material world. The word bhautik means of the material world, of the phenomena of the world. So these are three different kinds of hurdles that can come in the way of a sadhak. ऐसा बोलते हैं. ये तीन तरह के hurdles हैं. Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika. Now, what are these three kind of hurdles that can come to a seeker? And all kinds of hurdles come in your path of sadhana. ऐसा नहीं होता कि your sadhana goes smooth all the time. So he is describing to you, there is a classification of the hurdles. One is Adibhautika, which I take up first. This is a phenomenal world. A world of phenomena, the material world, the man-made world in which man operates. So anything done by man or human being or by animals or plants or thunder or lightning, things that happen. See, like this, I'll do not thunder, lightning. It is here like, see, fire. Fire can be caused by man, is generally caused by man. Okay, tigers, hooligans, some noise disturbing you, some noise of anything. You've got that experience, isn't it? You're trying to meditate and somebody in the neighbor's house is put on a loud music. That all comes under adhibhautika. So anything like that happening, suddenly there is anything which human beings can do, that, or phenomena, when it happens in phenomena, that is, even landslides and fires can happen because of man's actions, and therefore they come into adhibhautika. Okay, then there is one adhidevika. Devik is divine. Huh? It comes from divine sources over which man has got no hand, in which man has got no hand or he cannot change it. Huh? So they come from the superpower, like lightning, thunder, death, floods, storm, all these kind of things. So they are all called Adi Devika, and these are also disturbances. They can be disturbances for the seeker, right? These are Adi Devika. Now then you come to the most subtle one, and which disturbs all of us. We can handle these two somehow, but what disturbs all of us is Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika arises from you yourself. Atmika अपने आप से अराइज करता है. उसमें क्या आता है? लेजीनेस, inertia. I don't want to get up early to do meditation. That's such a pain. Or I have so much else to do. How can I do meditation? उसके लिए टाइम ही नहीं है. Then there is another thing, lack of faith in some people, self-doubting, lack of faith in the supreme, or lack of faith in the goal that you are trying to pursue. कहाँ से आता है? आपके ही अंदर से आता है कि नहीं नहीं, पता नहीं भगवान है भी कि नहीं है, पता नहीं what I'm doing is right or wrong. I don't know whether I have understood it also. Then negativities, self-cancellation of thoughts. आपके दिमाग में आया कि चलो आज व्रत करते हैं, ठीक है, and then suddenly you say, नहीं पता नहीं मुझसे होगा भी कि नहीं होगा, मे बी बीच में ही टूट जाएगा. Now with that thought, what have you done? Cancelled it. You've cancelled it, na? So you are cancelling your own drive towards a sadhana. Now these kind of thoughts will disempower your efforts. आप उनको weaken कर देते हैं. Your resolves get weakened by this kind of thing. So you should never self-cancel your own thoughts. A lot of times, it is that you are engaged in so many other activities. You have no time for puja. Sometimes you are too tired to do it by the end of the day. Sometimes you say, oh japa aaj to chhoot gaya, ye TV pe bada acha program aa raha hai, let me see this. जपा कल कर लेंगे, उसमें क्या हुआ, जपा तो जपा ही है, ठीक है, ये टीवी प्रोग्राम तो निकल ही जाएगा. So you leave that, so these are all, they all come under adhyatmika hurdles. Okay, so this is adhyatmika, then adhibhautika and adhidevika. So these three kinds of hurdles generally come, and we succumb to them, one or the other, and so your sadhana gets delayed slowly. Okay. The next question. This is, if theory of perception in the light of verse 2:14, Swamiji's discourses on Prashnoprishad can be discussed briefly. No, I cannot again the same question, see. I cannot discuss Swamiji's discourses. Whatever Swamiji has said, if you have any doubts about that, you have to approach the same teacher. you have doubts about something I said, yeah, I'm there to answer, but not on Prashnopnishad. But if you are asking only the theory of perception, that I can answer. That's a very simple thing, but not with reference to Swamiji's talks. Okay. Now, this perception is your only reality. Think about it carefully. There is a modern day poetess, very famous poetess called Anai Nin. And she says that we don't see things as they are. You see things as you are. See? To quote it correctly, it is you don't see things as they are. You see things as you are, which is very true. Which is very true. 10 people are watching one thing. Each one will have a different response. In fact, this is a experiment in psychology that they do. You know, a psychology student did it in my house once. She made 5-6 of us sit, and she projected a painting, and she made us look at it for 5 minutes, and then she said, now each one of you write what it is. Do you know, each one wrote different answers. The painting was the same. Each one wrote different answers, and with those answers, they analyzed your subconscious fears. Can you imagine? So, everybody's mind, what you see, is colored by your likes, your dislikes, and your own values, your own memories. That becomes your perception. So, all that you see is colored by these things, and that becomes your reality. That is the reason that somebody may tell you that, oh, X person is a wonderful person. He's so good, he's so learned, he's so wise, he's so nice to people, very kind. Another person's experience about that same person, oh, yeah, then you don't know him, he says. I have a very different experience of him. He's this, he's this, he's this, he's this. Now, the person is the same, the perceptions are different, so the reality for that person is different. You got it? So, this is, and we say also, na, yatha drishti tatha srishti. You create what you see. So, this is what I'm talking, but I'm not referring to Prashnopanishad at all. And also, perception also has to do with just clear seeing. Like you see the sunrise. Your intellect tells you that the sun is not rising because you have learnt it in science, isn't it? Physics में इसमें उसमें पढ़ा है आपने कि the sun does not rise, the earth is turning, the earth is, now you don't see the earth revolving, but you know that the earth revolves on its own axis. You don't see it, ना? तो आपका perception क्या है? Perception is that the earth is stagnant. You know that the earth is round. Science tells you. But your perception is that it is flat, isn't it? So, like that. So, perception is based on your fleshy eyes, what they see, colored by a memory, colored by likes, dislikes, education, and your surroundings. So, perception can never be the reality, isn't it? Perception is perception. You see it like that. Okay. Next question. I desperately need to know how to cope with the sudden death of my young son. No disease, nothing. I am doubting the very existence of the Almighty. Now, you see, this question I will deal right at the end because this is not one person's question. I know, at least in my knowledge, I know 3 people whose young, grown up sons have died. And they are all listening to these talks. So, this needs to be done a lot in detail. I will do it at the end. After that, next question: how can we overcome self doubts? A seeker should never, never doubt his abilities. Always have faith in yourself and the sadhana that you are doing. You know, always have faith in that. Never cancel your resolutions like New Year resolutions. You make a resolution, stick by it, and do it. You say, I will do japa every day, chahe jo ho jaye. How much time does one mala take? 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes maximum, not more than that. 10 bhi nahi lagte. So then, if it's a resolution, do that. Find time in your whole day to do it. So never, never weaken your resolutions by negative thinking or by doubting yourself or by doubting your pursuits. Very clearly understand what you want to do, why you want to do, and then pursue it diligently. Also learn to, when you have decided that this is the right path and I'm going to pursue it, थोड़ा मालिक के हाथ में भी छोड़ो. Leave the reins in the hand of the Lord. और लगाम उसके हाथ में है तो कौन रोक सकता है? He is the one who will see that you progress. देखिए, difficulties हर एक साधक के लाइफ में आते हैं. Whether they come from the family, they come from situations and circumstances. अभी हमने करे हैं ना 3 तरह की difficulties. Or whether they arise from your own mind. So ये जो self doubting जो आप कह रही हैं, this arises from your own mind. So never, never let it happen. Okay. Next question. In verse 32 to 37, Krishna says, stand for justice, duty, and fight for your dharma, etc. Okay. Now, when we come to verse 46 onwards, that is when he describes the yoga of action, Krishna talks about detachment of mind from opposites like happiness, sorrow, death, birth, etc. Now, my question is, if one doesn't have passion and love for his country and countrymen, how would he give his best to fight for his dharma and justice? See, this question, this kind of question, let me say, is asked by most of the seekers when they do the Gita, because they misunderstand and misinterpret the teachings of the Lord. Gita, I have always said, whatever Krishna has said, whether he's talking of renunciation or he's talking of yoga or he's talking of whatever, all that is done with in the light of the first chapter, where Arjuna is saying, I am not going to fight. I am going to run away. I am going to leave the battlefield. You remember? What is Krishna doing in the whole Gita? The whole Gita is an effort to arouse Arjuna to fight. Now see, you are saying in verse 47, this is that famous verse, na karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Now in that verse, what is he saying? He is saying karmanye vadikaraste. That means your adhikar is in action. So where does he say that you should not act? But he says, so because he wants the action to be perfect, to be poised, to be absolutely effective, single pointed, so he says, ma phaleshu kadachana in verse 47. Ma phaleshu kadachana means do not be anxious for the fruit, because that will weaken you. That will make you nervous. that will make you anxiety prone, right? And when you are like that, your hand will shake because your mind is agitated and you will never be able to perform well. You know, don't they say cool, calculated move? Have you heard that phrase? Cool, calculated move. So, how can you be cool and calculated if you are all the time worrying about the result of your action? You cannot be. Of course, he has love. Nowhere does Krishna say that when there is no love for the country, when there is, he doesn't say it. I don't know from where you've got it. A passion and love for the country, he has. Of course, he has. Only then he is there to fight. Otherwise, why should he even reach there? He wants the kingdom. I have told you many times. He wants the kingdom. He wants the money. He wants the power. That is why he is there. He wants justice. He wants dharma. That is why he is there. So it is a dharma yuddha right from the beginning. So the fighter, when he's fighting, has to guard the values. You know, he has to fight for righteousness. The cause of righteousness has to be in his mind when he fights, that he's fighting for justice, he's fighting for dharma, he's fighting for his country, he's fighting to protect the people. When all these noble values are there in his mind, he will fight to the end, to the last breath he is going to fight. But if he is me and mine, and I want this fruit, I want that fruit, he is going to get nervous. And that is the reason he says that you have to be cool, calculated, the with perfect precision. You know, like Shaolin monks, I've given you the example before. The Shaolin monks, when they are taught battle, you know, with their hands and fists and all, they are taught to kill, but with no temper in the mind, with no fever, with no passion in the mind. So when there is no passion in the mind, it is a cool, energized, precise hit on the enemy. And that is why you see these two. Never has Krishna says don't work, never has Krishna says don't fight for your rights. In fact, it is just the opposite. But he gives you a method of how to do it so that it has much more hitting power than what it should have, right? Okay, next question. Please elaborate on what is objective mind and subjective mind, subjective intellect. The meaning of the statement, let his objective mind take hold of and enslave his subjective intellect. I have not understood the question, frankly. Either I'm a little dumb-witted or the question is confusingly put. It is not very clear to me. So this question, I'm sorry, I don't think I can answer. Next, we come to question. The next question is, what is avarana and vikshepa? You have used two technical words, avaran and vikshepa. Okay. Now, avaran means a veil. Any avaran means a covering. आप किसी चीज को कवर कर देते हैं तो आप कहते हैं उस पर आवरण डाल दिया, ठीक है ना. यू कवर योर फेस विद अ वेल. हाँ, आजकल एवरीवन इज कवरिंग, दैट इज एन आवरण. Now when there is an avaran, what is the effect of the avaran? Tell me. You cannot see the reality. That is why these days nobody recognizes anybody. When you are walking in the evening or morning, you may be seeing somebody whom you know very well, but till he does this, you say, oh, it's you, you know, so you don't recognize. So wo avaran hai. So the effect of avaran is non-apprehension, non-recognition. ठीक है. अच्छा, अभी I'm just explaining these two words, then I'll connect them and tell you. The next one is vikshepa, you said. Vikshepa is disturbance and agitation in the mind. That is called vikshepa. With disturbance and agitation, your mind is never able to think correctly. Your mind and intellect gets confused with vikshepa. That is called vikshepa. The mind and intellect has to be very clear. There has to be a total clarity. But what causes this vikshepa? Avaran causes the vikshepa. Okay? Now, I have to give you an example. At night, you think that a robber is standing near your window and he sometimes moves and sometimes his hand is still with a dagger in it, and you are scared. That scaring in you is vikshepa. Okay? Now, all that vikshepa. Okay. But if you are a brave person, you say कि देखें तो सही कौन है, huh? And you pick up a torch. First you switch on a light and then you switch on the torch quickly to see who it is. And to your surprise, you see that it is just the branch of a tree. The shadow of the branch of a tree. And sometimes when the wind comes, that moves. But the outline is that of a man with a dagger. So your reality is the man with the dagger. So what have you done? There is a veil. There is a veil of ignorance on what you are seeing. You are seeing something other than what the reality is. That is called misapprehension. Non-apprehension. Okay, non-apprehension. Sorry. Non-apprehension is when you don't see the reality. Okay, ये तो non-apprehension हो गया. फिर आ गया आपका, what does non-apprehension cause? Non-apprehension causes misapprehension. That is the first result of avaran. जब आपको कोई चीज सही दिखती नहीं तो आप उसको misinterpret करते हैं. You misinterpreted that it's a robber with a dagger. Similarly, when you see a person and you have not understood the person clearly or very well, your mind projects things onto that person. He is saying this because of this. He is doing this because of this. Okay? वो दुनिया भर की चीजें आप प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं on something. The reality is different. You see it as different, and when you see it as different, the agitations and all come. And therefore वेदांत में ये दोनों को यूज करते हैं. Avaran is non-apprehension. It is also called avidya. The same thing is called maya, and in English the same thing is called ignorance. Ignorance of your true self and considering yourself to be the body because of the avaran. The body, mind, intellect is the avaran on truth. So you consider your body, mind and intellect to be reality, the reality, and that उस पे जो कुछ होता है body, mind and intellect पे you consider as real, and that causes disturbances, which is vikshepa, for which your mind is all the time turbulent and you cannot calm down and you cannot do your sadhana. So these two have done. Okay, now I am taking up the last question. That is, I'll read the question again. This is not just one person's question, mind you. As I've said, that I personally know at least 3 people who have faced this, and there might be many more, I'm sure. It says that I desperately need to know how to cope with the sudden death of my young son. No disease, nothing. I am doubting the very existence of the Almighty. देखो, सबसे पहले तो आपको ये मैं बताऊं कि you yourself are a bubble. It will burst. It is the law. It is inevitable. So one bubble bursting and you will be the next bubble bursting. So one bubble crying for another bubble bursting. Think about it. The Gita says Gata soon agata soonscha nanu shochanti panditaha. You've done that verse in the second chapter, right? Krishna is saying, Gata soon agata soonscha. Yes. Those that have gone and those that have not yet gone. क्या हुआ ये? All of us are going to go. Think about it. In 50 years time, मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बोल रही. In another 50 years time, this whole generation will go. The whole generation will go, mind you. So what are you connecting with? Think about time from immemorial to when it will be. Who are you? And what are you? That you are saying, my son, my daughter, my this, my house, my car. आप हो क्या चीज? सोचो तो जरा. In terms of time, what are you? And the thing you are calling mine, when your body was not there another 70, 80 years back, and your body will not be there another 50 years back. So, what are you connecting with that body? Even that thing is not going to be there or will not be there. That is the law of matter. The law of matter is change. That is an unchanging law that governs this entire universe. It is inevitable. The day you are born, the day of death is written and nobody can change it. Birth inevitably leads to death. Now, if that happens, then death inevitably leads to birth. Understand? It will happen. It will go on happening. I have explained this before also. The seed dies to become a plant. And then the plant dies to become a tree. In the tree, the bud becomes a flower. The flower dies to become a fruit. And the fruit again dies to become a seed, isn't it? So it is a law of change. Anyone whose body drops, you don't die, the body dies. Remember, the body dies. And that body, also understand, that you say was yours or is yours, my son. You're still saying my son. He has become matter. He is one with the phenomena of the world. The body, I'm talking of the body that you say, call is yours. And what was the body comprised of? Water, fire, air, earth, and space. These things are still there. A certain combination of those that the Lord used your body to make another body, you have the audacity of saying mine. What did you do? What did you make in his body? Tell me. I'm being a little harsh. Can you make a single nail of his again? Can you make a vein of his eye? Or did you make it? No. You and your husband united, and from your bodies, the Lord used your parts of your bodies and the phenomenal world, the food that you ate, the water that you drank, that is all the Lord's. The food, the air, the water, even the body that is given to you is the Lord's. And you call it mine. And then us body, the Lord used your body to create another beautiful, miraculous body. And then you call it mine. This is cheating. Think about it. It was created by him, and that body came into your family, with a certain prarabdha. I have explained prarabdha before. If I go into details, it will take a very long time. But for a certain given period, he came into this world to exhaust certain desires, to interact with certain people, which was his, let us call it destiny, for the lack of other word just now. I can explain it, it's not really destiny, but whatever he wanted to do, he came in for that. The moment those desires were fulfilled, he dropped his body to take on another body where he wants another family and another desires, other desires. Dekho, there is a very famous Vedantic story that there was a couple, and they prayed for a child. The Lord said that you do not have it in your fate that you will have a son or a daughter. But they prayed very fervently and they said, Lord, please, we want one. So a child, the Lord gave them a child, but said that since you do not have it in your uh, destiny, let us say, or prarabdha, this child will die when he is 14 years old. But they still wanted a child. So the Lord says, okay, tathastu. So very strong desires then have effect. So a son was born to them. And true enough, as the time went, when he was 14, lovely child, loving, all that, and that child suddenly passed away. He suddenly died. Now the parents were uh, besides themselves with grief. They went on praying to the Lord and went on praying to the Lord and saying that please bring him back, please bring him back. So they said, the Lord said that, look, I can do that only to teach you a lesson. So he brought back the child. When the son came in embodied form, he just stood there and he asked the parents, he said, who are you? So the parents said, don't you recognize us? We are your mother and father. So he says, mother and father? But I have had many, many mothers and fathers in different lives. So which mother and father are you? And how should I relate to you? Because I have already taken birth somewhere else and I have different parents. So I do not see you as my parents at all. The parents came to their senses and they realized that that boy whom they called my, come out of my body, my son. There is this possessiveness. Possessiveness of anything will give sorrow. Always. Any time when you say this is mine, that thing will take hold of you and it will give you sorrow. Please understand that leave aside other things being yours, even your body is not yours. And change is the law I have told you. Not a single cell in your body is the same from even 7 years ago. Isn't it? Medical science tells you that the cells in the body are changing every minute. So, what are you talking about? A sun whose body has already fused with the elements? The change. Acha, another very interesting thing. Dekho, death in Sanskrit, mrityu, the word mrityu does not mean only death. One of the meanings is death, yes. But generally, the meaning of mrityu is change. So, on a positive note, don't think of your son dying and don't think of yourself dying. He has changed from one body to another body which he wants. So, won't you let him do that? When a child graduates from the family and he marries and he has another home of his where he lives with his family, don't you want that? Or would you want that? No, no, he should continue as a baby with you and you can keep calling him my. No. That child will grow out of your hands. In any case, he will grow out. So wherever he is, wish him well. Wherever he is, think positively of him. Wherever he is, आप उसके नाम में दान कर्म करिए. Whatever he desired to do, you must be knowing your boy, isn't it? You must be knowing his mind. Whatever he felt happy in doing, do those things when his tithi comes, when his death date comes. Dan, dakshina, punya, make some child happy. Donate food to somebody hungry. Pay for the education of some child who cannot pay for his education in the name of that son of yours. So you will feel happy that you are doing what he wanted. You are doing what he needed. This I'm talking of the present world and how to deal with grief. Also another thing, let me tell you. हमारे यहाँ grief में देखो ऐसा कहते हैं, grief is allowed in Hinduism, right? It is officially allowed in Hinduism. But grief is not anushocanti. Anushocanti means crying day after day, day after day, day after day, every single day, repeatedly. That is not allowed. You have to get on with your life and get on with your life positively, doing positive things for the love, for the world. Don't be enclosed in your own little me and mine all the time. You are wasting your life. Live your life positively. Live your life energetically. Live your life for the welfare of the world. Live your life for others, not only for yourself. How are you wasting it crying all the time? That is why in Hinduism, as I said in my talks also, if you have heard them all, that definitive days are given according to the purity of your mind to get over grief. That is why nirdharit hain. Sannyasis get 3 days only for sorrow. After that, they are not supposed to cry or feel sorry about anybody. Then another 10 days for Brahmins. उनकी 10वीं होती है ना, on 10वीं they officially end sorrow. Because Brahmins, that means teachers, research scholars, academicians, जो ब्रह्म पढ़ते हैं और ब्रह्म को पढ़ाते हैं, those, they have a certain rarity of mind, a certain purity of mind. They are able to get over their sorrow early. So they are given 10 days. Kshatriyas are given 13. उनकी 13वीं होती है. And Shudras, whose mind is a little more dense, not very academic minded and all that, they work with their hands and feet and all that. So they are into the gross body a lot more than others. And so they are allowed 21 days of grief. See how scientific it is? Given more time to cry. But to cry every day, every day, every day and go on crying? No. So never do that. Never do that. Get over it. Pray to the Lord. And to say that you don't have faith in the Almighty, my goodness, who created you? Who created your son? Huh? Did you? No. It is the Almighty. Who gave you air? Who gave you food? Who makes the sun rise? Who makes the world go round? Not you, I'm sure. There is another power, that almighty power, who is doing it for you. So be grateful. Okay? That we finish here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.